Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I'm here with another video, and in today's video we have another cell phone, and this one is a model. The brand is an M4 brand, and what we're gonna do in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to uh, take it apart and how you can change the charge port on this one. This charge port is not holding anything, it's just really wobbling in there and it's probably broken, so we're gonna open it up and we're gonna replace it. By the looks of it, it looks like it went inside, so we don't know what's the damage on the board. And let's see, assess the damage. All right, the tools that you're gonna be needing, it's alcohol, 95% or 90% alcohol, and you need a working towel to where you can work on it. You need a desoldering wire, solder, flux, and I'll use always few Q-tips, tape, aluminum tape, and you will need a soldering iron. I use the TS100 electric one. These are really small and really precise. All right, and we do need a hot station. So you need a hot station. I use the hot station 868B rework station and a guitar pick for opening. And obviously you will need the replacement jack. So once we take the jack out, I'm gonna go through the jack here and see which one is adaptive, which one is the corresponding correct one. All right, and to open it up, you will need a screwdriver set. I use this UFIXTEK tool set. These are really handy to open stuff, and they have all the bits that you need. And that should be all. All right, this one is an the model for this one is an M2400a, where you can take the way that we change the thermal the way that we're gonna replace the the power jack is the same thing on most of these models. So we're gonna remove the back cover just by putting fingertip on the back. It should be easy. Just peel it off. Remove the battery and remove any SIM chip or memory card that you guys have in there. Now what we need to do, we need to grab a screwdriver. Is a Phillips number 00. And we're gonna remove all the screws at the bottom cover, including the one that has a white sticker on it. The white sticker is the warranty, so you have to puncture through and just remove the screw, just like that. So go ahead and remove all the screws. It's a really hard magnet to pick up the screws. The screws are all the same size and height, so don't worry about mismatching them. Also, I really appreciate if you guys could subscribe if you like this video and helped you guys out. Please click that thumbs up button. It really helps and motivates me to make more videos and take requests from you guys and answer questions. I really appreciate if you guys subscribe. All right, now that we remove all the screws, double check, make sure you didn't miss any screws. And what you want to do, you want to grab your guitar pick or any opening tool that you have. And you want to stick it between the bottom and the top cover. It should be just right over here. And then you just want to roll it around to the back, to the bottom side. You want to hear those clicks. That's the clips that hold it in place. Go all the way to the top, to the volume rocker. And now that you can remove easily the top portion. All right, down here, we're gonna remove few stuff. Remove the LCD flex right here. Just put your fingernail underneath and lift it up. The volume rocker. Also, you need a tweezers. to make life easier. You want to remove the volume rocker by lifting up this lock right here 90 degrees upward and pull the flex cable backward. Remove this tape gently because there's a ribbon cable underneath. There. Now I believe this one is the touch probably. So lift up the jack and pull out the ribbon cable. And slowly peel it off. Gently. Bring it over top. Alright. Now there's two screws in here, one on this side, one on the other side. Go ahead and remove these two screws. These are silver color screws. Alright, and now you should be able to lift it up. And the camera, untangle the camera flex right here, just lift it up. And pull the board towards the one side. Alright, the jack on this one is really broken. And once you lift it up, the antenna, just remove the antenna cable, pull it up. And look at this one. The power jack is just got ripped off and it came out completely. Alright, but doesn't matter. So what you want to do, you want to remove the other camera by peeling off the secure lock right there and remove the camera. Lock it down. And we're gonna see the main pads. The main pads for the power jack is, the charge port is okay. The only thing that is ripped off is the corner side pads where it's supposed to hang to. So it's not a big deal. We can just replace it. Let's say that if yours is still like attached on top, what you want to do is isolate the both side. So first, what you want to do, you want to put a masking tape on this side to cover the sensor, to cover everything else, and bring it over. Cover this side and cover the other side with a masking tape always, because the adhesive on this one is not too bad. So cover this end, cover the jack, grab the aluminum sheet, cut down the strips. The aluminum sheet, cut it down the strip, make it like a two straight ones. And you want to cover over this one right now, over the masking tape that you put. So this is going to isolate the heat so the heat doesn't touch the other components, the plastic components. So there we go. You only want to isolate the top portion. The bottom portion, this one doesn't matter too much. All right, now that we got in this position, pretty much we're isolating the jack, the connectors, everything from the corner to the other corner, everything. All right, move away the phone. Now, let's say if you had your jack on top right now like this, what you want to do, you want to put it on the wooden stuff, a wooden plank, or just grab one of these extra handy grips. What you want to do, you want to add a flux over these connectors. So you can add an extra flux right there. And after that, you can just use a hot station to melt it down and lift up the jack. For example, I'm just gonna assume that this one is plugged in so you guys can see the way that you remove it. So heat it up. While you heat it up, hold it there, and then you can simply go ahead and remove it just like that. I have another video that I just posted how to remove these ones. I'll link in the description. You can see it. All right, now that we removed the power jack, or I showed you guys how to remove it, what you want to do, you want to turn on the soldering station. What you want to do, you want to turn on your soldering station, and we're gonna clean up all this old soldering right on top by grabbing a little solder right there, and we're gonna pass it right over to just mix the new solder with the old solder, run in the corners, on the pads, on the sides. All right. So we're mixing the leaded solder with the lead-free solder. All right. Now what you want to do, you want to clean it up. Grab an alcohol, spray alcohol over, use a Q-tip. Always clean the workspace. Now we can look at the pads, and the pads, they look pretty fine. It's not ripped. Only the side ones, these are the grounds. They don't matter too much. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this under microscope so you guys can see it in a little closer. So if you guys doing this, you don't need a microscope. I'm just doing it because if I stick my head in front of the camera, you guys gonna be able to see it. So I'm gonna do this under the microscope. I'm gonna put some tape. But before we do that, I'm just gonna find this donor, exact donor for this jack on my box. All right, I found a good donor. So we have the donor jack and the old jack. The pins match, the orientation, everything is matching. So perfectly fine. So go ahead and tape it down. All right, now that we taped it down nicely, we're gonna grab the jack and we're gonna put it on top. Make sure it just fits right there perfectly fine. All right, so what we're gonna put it to one side. First, we need to clean up the pads with wire, with a desoldering wire. So what you need to do, add flux. Now what you want to do, you want to just run it on top and hold it there so the solder get absorbed to the wiring, desoldering wire. Then you can cut a little bit of tip of the, just cut it a little bit on the top so the soldering wire is gonna get used. Clean up the pins. If it doesn't come out, grab a little bit more solder on the point. Now we're gonna clean it up again with a cotton tip. So soak the cotton tip on the alcohol and then clean up the workspace. All right. Add a little bit of flux, new flux. Now what you need to do is to add on the new pads that we removed the old ones. On the back pads, we're gonna add a bit of solder. All right. Now we're gonna place the jack in place. So we're gonna place the jack. If this jack, the legs don't reach, don't worry, we're just gonna solder it over. So I cut the point of the legs because this jack is a little bit short. You're not always gonna find the right correct jack, so you have to work with what you got. So if you find the right one, you might want to be able to reach this side to that side. So, but in this case, I have to cut it, so we have to solder it down. So we're gonna put a one joint here, one joint solder right there, so we keep it in place. All right, now that we got the jack in place, what we're gonna do, we're gonna run a tiny pass over the pins. Let's go ahead and clean up the workplace with an alcohol. You can use an old toothbrush to get into the between the components to clean it up. And what we're gonna do, make sure that all the pins are connected, and it looks pretty connected. So let's go ahead and remove the tape and see how is this working. So the pins are connected nicely. So what we need to do, we need to put a solder joint on this one here and one solder joint right on that one. All right, let's put it back down so we can solder the other side. Add a little flux on the joints that you want to solder. Pick up a little bit of solder and just all right, perfectly fine. We're gonna remove the tape, everything, and we're gonna do one last clean with a toothbrush or any brush that you have. Just spray it over and then just nicely run over and clean it up. All right, now let's go ahead and remove all the tape that we have on top. All right, it looks perfectly fine, beautiful. Just damp your tip of the alcohol and clean all the residue from the tape on the sides. Clean the laser, the sensor. All right. Now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put it back together and test it out. So grab the phone. First plug in the other camera that we had. So this is the front facing camera, put it in there. Lift up the connector, the flex cable, make sure they're not in the way, disturbing you. The volume rocker. First, try to put the front facing camera, back facing camera. You can remove the camera from there or lift up the board a little bit so it can make it easier for you to put the jack in place. Okay, let's try to see. Remove the camera from the socket. So has a little adhesive at the back end. So lift it up, put it in there, lock it in place. Now we're gonna put all together so that way it's easier. Right. Put the two screws first that we remove from each side, from every corner, from this side. So this keeps the motherboard in one place. Oh, before we do that, we forgot to put the antenna in the back. So lift it up again, bring it to this side, pick up this antenna here. Just pop it in place. Now bring it down. Right over, set it nicely. Put the two screws. Now run the cable for this antenna right on the edges. And put the volume rocker right in place. Lock it down. Put the other one in there. Make sure you lift up the lock and then slide it right underneath. Lock it down. Push down the LCD connector in place. And grab the top cover. Bring it over. Snap it in place. Alright, before we put the screws in and do anything, we're just gonna test it out. So grab the battery, plug it in, grab your charger cable, and connect it right there. And the light is turning on, is red. That means it's charging. The light turns off. The battery is really dead on this one. So what you want to do, and the last thing would be to put all the screws back together. The screws go all over the place. They don't have any height or different sizes, so don't worry about mismatching. And again, guys, if you guys like this video and helped you guys out, please click that thumbs up button. If you have any questions or requests, you know where to leave them. And again, I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my channel and to help out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Alright, I'm gonna let it charge for a little bit, so it might take like if the charge is really low, it might take about 10 to 15 minutes before it starts charging, so you have to leave it like that. So let it sit for half an hour and then it's just gonna start charging normally.